Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. This week's episode is all about my recap of our experience out in Las Vegas for WPPI 2025. Now, our time out there was insanely short. It was 46 hours from touching down to getting back on the plane to head back to New York. But all in all, we packed a lot in a short amount of time and we had a great experience. Now, first thing we got there on Sunday, we had a little bit of downtime and we decided to take a little bit of a date night out to top of the world at the Strat. Now this was an amazing experience. Not only was the restaurant amazing and awesome, the food was excellent, but obviously the views from 800 feet up of all of Las Vegas was absolutely incredible. Now, my wife is terrified of heights, but she was an absolute trooper and she lasted way longer than I thought she ever would. And it was incredible. The views, we'll share just some cell phone shots that I was taking while up there. It's an experience I definitely recommend you try if you have the time next time you're out in Las Vegas. 10 out of 10, the food, the service, the views. Again, if you're afraid of heights, maybe not the best idea, but it was absolutely incredible. Now, that just prepped us for our next day in Vegas, which was really when we were getting down to business. Our photo walk was on that Monday. Now that morning we had an opportunity to do a little bit of a walk around and kind of acclimate ourselves a little bit with the space. It was at the Rio this year, which was a new venue. And we got to see a lot of familiar faces that we hadn't seen in a while. It was great. Now when it came time to get ready for the photo walk, we were ready to go. We had a great class and it was all about reacting to the conditions that were handed as wedding and portrait photographers. So I had prayed the night before that we would get some really difficult conditions, and what I meant by that is really just hard midday sun. I think that's first and foremost a great thing to have when you're trying to teach how to combat light and overcome difficult situations. So the good Lord answered our prayers, gave us exactly that, and we were super happy. What I didn't ask for was super high, crazy winds, but we also got a little bit of that as well. It just added a little bit of extra challenge to the photo walk itself, but nothing too crazy. So we went right out there. We had two really great models to work with, and we went right to business. So first and foremost, we took out our 5-in-1. This is a #1 tool I think that every photographer should have, just based on the fact that it's very easily obtainable, affordable, compact, but it is extremely valuable. It is a 40-inch by 60-inch reflector when fully open up, and of course when you take off the coverings, it becomes a diffuser. And the diffuser is the first thing that we went for, given that that hard light was in that midday position. What we did is we demonstrated how to cut that hard light, immediately turn it into a beautiful, large, soft, wrapping light source, and it's very easy to expose for this. You're exposing for your couple, and in the bright conditions, you have a fairly even exposure to your background as well, so you don't have to worry about two drastically different exposures, but the light is absolutely beautiful. The way it was hitting their faces, especially our bride's eyes, it was just incredible. So check out the example here. And we moved, after a couple minutes spent on that setup, we moved right over to #2, which was again putting the cover this time on the reflector, turning our subject so that the hard light was acting more as a rim light or a backlight, even a hair light, and utilizing the warm gold zebra side of our reflector to give some warm light back into our subjects. So now that they were backlit, obviously we exposed for our background, and now they were a bit underexposed. So what we did is we demonstrated how to catch that light properly. When you have an assistant holding the reflector, there's a few things you need to coach them through. What we recommend is generally finding that sun, get the reflection on the floor first where you can see it a little bit more easily, and then just kind of follow the line up until you have that light properly illuminating your subjects. The tough part about this is that it does become a constant light source, and so the subject's eyes can be a little bit irritated by keeping them open and staring at this bright light that's coming back into them. So we'll usually coach them into a position that's either allowing them to close their eyes, more of a romantic pose, or we'll keep their eyes closed until we're ready to shoot. We'll give them a 3 count, and in that moment, as they're opening their eyes, we're firing frames. Again, it's tricky when there's a little bit of a windy condition as well, because as the reflector is moving around, that light source is also moving around. And so from one shot to the next, you could get varying degrees of illumination on your subjects. So it's best to try and instruct your assistant, whoever's holding that reflector, to do their best to keep that that reflector as still as possible, so that that light source remains constant and you're able to fire off enough frames over a few seconds until you have to worry about shifting it again. So that was 2 quick setups using the 5-in-1 in 2 different ways. The third setup that we used, we took the reflector out of the mix. We still used that sun as a backlight or a rim light, and then we added in a strobe. Now, ideally, I would love to have added in the large modifier I had from Cheetah Stand, which I think was the 34 QSB. Of course, they were allowing us to use their light stands as well. The auto collapse stands is what we use in our kit, and I'm grateful that they were able to have us borrow those for the photo walk as well, so special shout out to them. And so what we had to opt for, because of the windy conditions and being dangerous, trying to put that modifier on there, we didn't want to harm our gear and we didn't want to harm our clients. So we went with a smaller light source, which was the Flashpoint Evolve 200. And what we added to that was our MagMod kit. So we added a mag sphere in this instance. We were able to get the light a little bit closer. We had to up the power a bit because of the small source. It's only a 200 watt second light, and our exposure was pretty, our shutter speed was up there given the bright conditions and that sort of thing. So, finding the sweet spot of the power on that small light source and also the angle is important, because as you're directing that light, it's a small source, so if you're hitting right into their faces, you can get definitely hot spots. So what we do is to kind of elevate that light up a little bit. So we're trying to catch the feathered edge of the smaller, harder light source. You're still gonna get harder shadows than you would using a modifier, but it's a sort of a compromise in between the two. And if it's a way for you to execute the shot, you'll have to just be careful with your light positioning to avoid any unwanted hard shadows. In this case, we made sure our bride was facing her nose more towards that light. Our groom, on the other hand, did get a little bit of a harder shadow on his cheek, but that was okay. We felt the most flattering light should hit the bride in this case, and that's exactly what it did. So, finding the right level of taste, how you want to expose for your background, these are all personal decisions you'll make. We wanted to keep it as fairly even as possible, but sometimes we do underexpose that backdrop just a little bit. It's all about dialing in your ambient exposure first, then adding your light next. So that was a great exercise. We were able to go through 3 of those different setups, all without moving too much, which was great, giving other people an opportunity to actually shoot these examples. But then for our 4th and final look, we did a little bit more of a creative thing. So we found a position where the light was cutting across a building, creating a very distinct line of shadow and bright, and we were able to place our couple in that particular way, so that one was in each section. We used our bride as part of the positioning to get the hard light from the sun. We had her kind of looking up that way and closing her eyes. And then for the groom, he was looking up in that direction, but he was in shaded light. So what we did is added that Evolve 200 again. This time we added a grid for ultimate control. We just wanted to highlight his facial features and kind of create a unique and different type of shot for this look. It was really awesome. We'll share it here in the video as well so you get to see it. But just kind of like trying to promote those opportunities that might exist where we can think outside the box a little bit, do something a little bit different and creative with the hard light. There's a lot of other opportunities that you could utilize if that light is coming through trees or through fencing or any other type of structure that's creating a pattern. You can maybe possibly create interesting compositions by positioning your subjects in particular lit areas of that dappled light. So it can really work well to your advantage if you know how to do it or you know how to think outside the box, or it could be a nightmare to work with, which is really just the whole exercise of how can we control it, how can we come away with something really great to show our couples, show our clients. So it was a great exercise. I had a great group of attendees who were really engaged and asking a lot of questions and willing to help. And so it was a really great group experience and got a lot of great feedback from them. So again, if you're watching this, I appreciate that you took the time to come in and learn from me and participate in this photo walk. And I really hope you walked away with something valuable from it as well. Right after that photo walk, we had an opportunity to meet with those same attendees who were willing to stick around and talk all about Photo AI and how we use it to retouch all of our images and how it's really drastically changed our workflow, our life in particular. We're able to edit quicker, more consistent, and it's really a game-changing application. So definitely recommend you go ahead and check out Photo AI if you're not yet familiar. Really groundbreaking stuff over there, and it's really helped us be better at our jobs and make things more efficient. So can't argue against that. Now, following the photo walk, we had a little bit of a downtime before we went out to dinner with DreamBooks Pro, who we use as our album company here in the studio. Really amazing people behind that brand, and there's a reason why we love using their products, not only because of their beauty, but because of the service that we get from them. And so this is a huge part of it, this community that they've built of other ambassadors, and we had a great night out, great night in networking and talking about business and personal life and all that great stuff. So we're excited to be able to hopefully go out to their main headquarters out in Portugal, maybe next year. So we're looking forward to that. Really get to see sort of how things are made behind the scenes. So definitely check out DreamBooks Pro if you haven't yet heard of them. Amazing products, amazing people. That's what it's all about. That pretty much sums up our entire WPPI experience. The next day, we had to fly back out, but what we were able to do is get a little bit of time out on that expo floor, spend a little bit of time at DreamBooks, kind of promoting the brand, got to stop by after shoot, say hello to them over there, and even got to meet the dynamic duo over there at the Vendor Table Podcast, which is Mike and Lauren. So if you haven't checked out the Vendor Table Podcast, you're in the wedding industry, definitely recommend you go out there. They're doing amazing work, really entertaining stuff, really informative stuff. It's a great thing they've got going on, and I'm so happy and proud to see fellow New Yorkers finding great success doing something that's so relatable to all of us. So, that was our whole experience. It was great having my wife and business partner by my side throughout it all. We really, enjoyed meeting everyone, seeing familiar faces, and just enjoying everything that Vegas had to offer between the photo conference itself and the nightlife, of course, as well. So, I definitely recommend you get out there to one of these conferences, whether it's WPPI or Shutterfest, which is happening next month. Definitely consider this. It's a great learning experience, great opportunity to network and meet a lot of friends, and I think you won't regret it. So the Rio again next year for WPPI, that's at the very beginning of March. Definitely check it out. Hope to see you out there, and I appreciate you guys checking out this video. Feel free to ask me any questions you might have. I'm happy to help in any way possible. So have a great week. I'll see you guys on the next video.